Mr. Speaker, I stand before you today to offer an apology to former students of Indian residential schools. The treatment of children in Indian residential schools is a sad chapter in our history. Two primary objectives of the residential school system were to remove and isolate children from the influence of their home, families, traditions, and cultures, and to assimilate them into the dominant culture. Today, we recognize that this policy of assimilation was wrong, has caused great harm, and has no place in our country.
When they are whole, when they are whole, when they are whole, oh, 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 hey, oh, hey, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We must remember the pain and suffering of those children that were taken from their families. We must remember the loss that the family members they felt. And we must always remember the descendants of those residential school survivors, such as Caleb.
Apologies come in many different forms. And so I acknowledge the churches, but I acknowledge especially the survivors of the residential schools who even today are still affected by that system that we were forced to live under.
I asked my mother what she felt about the apology, and her first response was, "What apology?" And I proceeded to tell her about the Government of Canada last year on this day apologizing for the experiences that happened in Indian residential schools. And she told me, she said, "Well, baby girl, that won't change what happened to me. And it won't change the fact that I'm still living in poverty. And it won't change that I have 5 foster children under the age of 5, First Nations foster children, that she has to find money to care for, that she has to find money to buy their diapers, that she has to find money to buy their milk and food, and that support isn't provided there for her."
In the spirit of reconciliation, First Nations in Ontario certainly don't want to put a damper on this need for reconciliation, but it's really difficult as First Nation leaders in Ontario when we see the continued kind of conflict that prevails because the federal government is not wanting to do things differently.
So here we are today to celebrate this day of reconciliation. Last year, the Prime Minister offered us an apology on behalf of the Government of Canada. Many of us have wrestled with the idea of what the apology and the reconciliation means to them, and I would be lying if this was clear to a majority of the First Nations youth in Canada. As I mentioned earlier, we still face numerous challenges. Some of these challenges have existed long before last year's apology and today's reconciliation.
And last year, as we moved towards the naming of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee and the apology from the government, the churches took seriously their responsibility to help lead Canadians into living out what that reconciliation might be looking like.
I have a simple definition of reconciliation. It means not saying sorry twice. One of my most respected elders is a woman by the name of Wilma Gus, and she said, when you do something wrong, your first obligation is not to say sorry. It's to learn. It's to understand the wrongs that were done to all those people in residential schools so that we don't do it again.
We are the people. We are the nation. We are here to fulfill a journey and to begin a journey at the same time. A journey that will be a challenge to each and every one of us. A journey where a challenge will question our trust and honesty and believe to humanity.
This morning we met together for a sunrise ceremony to start the day in celebration of the hope and possibilities that our journeys will give us, while recognizing the somber reality that the journey will take time and the road will not be easy.
Your words, Chief Fontaine, also touched another bishop, the Bishop of Rome, whom you met in April. In response, Pope Benedict XVI offered you some words. Words of deep regret, words of solidarity, words of hope.
And so, we don't ask for too much. We just ask for what is rightfully ours. No more, no less. We don't want to take anything away from what rightfully belongs to others. We just want to be treated fairly. We want to receive just treatment. That's what we are looking for. That's what we ask for. And that is not too much to ask.